Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Welcome to another episode of Supreme Being. Still not settled in yet here in Miami in my property, so I'm still using this lower quality mic. Bear with me for the next couple of weeks. Anyways, huge shout out to Team BC, my real estate team. If you guys are interested in joining or learning more about my team, go to jointeambc.com. Team BC is nationwide now. We can help you with real estate services in all of the continental United States. Reach out to me or anybody from my team and we'll help you. Or if you have a referral, we'll take them as well to all the agents. Shout out to Modern Success, my coaching program. If you guys are interested in learning more about that and joining, go to briancasella.com or you can go to the Linktree link in my bio on Instagram. Okay, let's begin. What I want to talk about today is something I believe to be extremely important. If you follow me on Instagram, right? If you're in Modern Success, we had a very detailed lecture about this and much more last night. But one of the subjects that we covered was embracing this salesman title, right? And on the lecture, we discussed more being a closer and what goes with that. But let's talk briefly about the title, right? And the inner workings that are involved with that. When we look at the title of salesman, we don't realize what comes with it. If you're a salesperson, you're in direct sales, you're in real estate, you sell anything, right? What you need to understand is that at your fingertips, you have a very beautiful art form that is underappreciated, that's misrepresented, that has been attacked over a bunch of years, and that has very few representatives of this art form operating at the highest level, teaching you and being embodiments of a true and actual salesman. And it pisses me off. It really does. It upsets me because now I have people messaging me who are getting into sales or who are in sales and they say, man, should I sell or should I build relationships? And in my mind, I'm like, the fact that we've gotten to a point where that's even a question is just ridiculous. The answer to that is you do both. You do both. But why is there this negative stigma around being a salesperson? I know there's a lot of bad salespeople out there. I get it. But why has it been attacked for so long? And this is why. Okay. And I'm going to go into exactly what you need to do to help you with this, because this can be applied to much more than just, being a salesman. It's any title or any role that you want to operate at the highest level. Why is it attacked? Because they don't see sales as communication. Being a salesperson is 100% communication, 1000% communication. That's the focus of it. That's the entirety of it. Yeah, there's other things involved with it, but the baseline foundation of that and the majority of it, if we're going to talk about the meat and bones of the subject, is that it's communication. How you dress is communication. How you speak and deal with customers, communication. Everything involved with it is communication. Therefore, knowing that communication is part science, part art form, man, that's beautiful. It's a science and an art form. And I stand by that 100%. That's how I see it. That's how I play in this realm. So why would I look at the title of a salesperson or salesman and run away from it or say, oh, well, no, I'm not a sales. I am a salesman 100%. And I wear that proudly, very proudly. Do you? Do you? Because if you don't, you're going to have a big problem. Why? Let's think about this. If you are pushing away that title, if you agree with other people who push away that title, or you have some misinterpretation of what a salesperson is, and let's say you resent it. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to be labeled as a salesperson. I don't want anybody to call me salesperson, right? And you hate it or you don't like it. Well, think about that. Let's look at it in a different context. Let's say I have somebody who hates on me or someone else for success or whatever. How can that person ever replicate what I've replicated if they hate me? If I represent so many good things that apparently if I was to ask them, they would want in their life too. Peace and tranquility, self-esteem, confidence, great communication skills, a lot of money, right? If they hate me, they hate all of those things. And if you hate something or resent it, a person or things, by virtue of that, you're not going to get them or want to become them. Why? Because you dislike them. You would be going against yourself. Why do you think haters never get anywhere? So if you're studying and you're playing in the world of salesmanship and communication, yet you don't want to be that, guess what? You're never going to become it. Then you're going to wonder why you're struggling and you're not getting anywhere. This is an internal process first and last, and first and foremost. And people need to understand that. If there's any part of your job, particularly the title that you reject or you resent or you don't like, that will limit you. That will limit you. Because when you really have to sit down with the customer, and maybe it's one of those tougher customers, I'm not going to hesitate or walk on eggshells. You will, because you don't want to be perceived as a salesperson. Because one of the issues with that, right, is with that, wearing the sales, badge or badge of honor or chain or hat, whatever you want to call it, right, is we know that communication is in context, and per the situation and context, we will have to employ certain tactics and techniques, which is senior to how we feel about it or what others may say about it. Now, in my case, I will employ those tactics 100%, knowing even if there's a temporary discomfort, even if emotionally myself or the customer for a second or for a couple minutes doesn't feel right. However, I know that's the right technique. I'm going to do it. The person who doesn't like the salesperson title and doesn't embrace it, they won't do it. And they're going to lose out on those situations by virtue of what I just said earlier. Why? They're afraid of the customer's opinion. Oh, I don't want them to think I'm a salesman. Oh, I don't want to come off as this or that. They're too buried in the estimation of others because they're afraid of offending somebody or losing the sale, in quotes. Person who embraces a salesman attitude and closer attitude and title isn't afraid of those things. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just go into those particular points today on this podcast, but that's one example of this, how that internal misalignment on this can cause a ripple effect down the road that will cause you to limit yourself and you will get less results. Think about the person who's proud of their job or career and what they do to the person who isn't. There's a clear difference there. The person who's proud of it are those employees that we love and that we get along with and that we will go back to the store or buy again just to interact with them. Will we not? Because they create an experience, they give off a good vibe, and it's just different, right? So even energetically, it makes a huge difference. Think about it. Think about all of you. You may be listening to this and you're at a job that you hate. How do you talk about that job to yourself and other people? Not very well. You're not going to be a compelling storyteller talking about it. I'll tell you that. Now imagine a customer. You think a customer can't tell that you don't like your job and that you don't embrace it? Of course they can. Why? Because you can't hide that type of stuff unless you're a very high level actor, which the majority of the population is not. So we have to begin to see through this BS. We've been told to not be proud about things like this. Why? Because the people who are have-nots told us to not be proud of it. Or the people who have zero understanding of communication and sales came out one day and said, well, you can't be a salesman. Why? Those people never sold and they don't know real sales. They don't know real sales. Big difference there. Huge difference. Huge difference. The person who never knocked doors will tell you door knocking doesn't work. The person who never made cold calls will tell you cold calling doesn't work. Or the people who did it a little bit and didn't have success. Are they, in that particular example or examples, are they qualified to make that judgment and pass on that information to you? Absolutely not. But we accept it unknowingly many times because for whatever reason, we respect that person or we think that they're going to tell us the truth. Newsflash, ladies and gentlemen, most people have no idea what they're talking about. Most people. And virtually every subject, unfortunately, right? So moving forward, you, the salesperson, or fill in the blank with whatever it is that you're dealing with, you have to first and foremost wear this title proudly in order to create a shift internally that outwardly will allow you to approach this particular subject correctly. If you do not embrace the title, you will not sell at your potential. You will not sell correctly. You will not sell at the highest level. You will not learn communication at the highest level. You will not embrace the techniques or apply the techniques given to you, even by people like me, at the highest level. Why? Because deep down inside, you don't want to. That's what you think. You don't want to. You say that you do, but internally, you don't want to. And you have to fix that. You have to fix that. I don't know in percentage wise how limited you're going to be, but it's going to be tremendous. Why? Internally, what we're feeling. Most people, the majority of people, they cannot fake that or change it outwardly. Meaning if somebody is in a situation where they're talking to somebody and they don't like them, most people can't keep a straight face and talk to that person and not give off the vibe that something is off. They're not developed to be able to do that because it takes a higher level to be able to do things like that, right? And that's just one example. That's one of the easier examples, right? How about being able to put your emotions to the side to do something that you know has to be done and is the correct thing to do, right? If you're not aligned internally properly, you will not be able to do that. Your emotions and your feelings will stop you. Case in point, the world today. Everybody's offended by everything. Somebody's not comfortable with something. Well, we have to change everything for that one person who's not comfortable. Doesn't make any sense. But because we have no mastery over subjects like these and these internal processes, we fail and we cause problems that, again, causes a ripple effect down the line. Now, when I said communication is a science and an art form, let's talk about that for a minute. Isn't it incredible that you can have a conversation with somebody and get completely lost in it? And prior to the conversation, you're feeling terrible. Then after the conversation, and it could be short, you feel amazing and you forgot even why you were upset. Isn't it incredible that I have been able to go door to door or cold call a complete stranger and within seconds get their full personal information? They trust me enough to divulge personal information, right? Social security number and that kind of stuff. Allow me into their home, trust me to sell their home, to sell their house, right? Or help them buy a home. And then I make tens of thousands of dollars. Isn't that incredible? How do you do that? You create the connection through ding, 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 communication. How about the ability to rewire yourself internally, your estimation of yourself, build your confidence, build your self-esteem, change old belief and thought patterns and old psychological trauma that you had within you and release it. And then now recreate a new version of yourself that maybe was introvert before, even though I hate using that word, but now you're a social butterfly, or somebody who wasn't a salesperson and now you're a salesperson, somebody who you believe to be not deserving of, money and success, and now you're extremely successful. How do we do that? With how we communicate with ourselves. Because even if it's your thoughts and how you think and you creating, you're taking control of that process. That's self-communication. That's the subject that we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. And the sales portion is just the outwardly, projection of this in the sense of influencing and persuading somebody to make a decision. Now, when you add on top of that, high level of ethics, somebody who runs an honest and open business, somebody who looks out for the customers, and some of these other things that we've discussed over the years, man, now you have a very beautiful gift. Because the average person nowadays is so messed up in their head, they can't even make decisions for themselves by themselves. So imagine now your customers coming to you to buy a product or service, particularly if yours is maybe a little pricier and it's a bigger decision. Imagine the issue and conundrum that you're in now. They want to make the decision, but they can't. But you have the tools now and the ability to help guide them to make the decision. Not only a decision, but the proper decision. Isn't that beautiful? That's communication, man. Communication is solving conflict between two people. Unity, right? Transmuting, basically alchemy with emotions from sad to happy. Uplifting people. All these other things. All of that is communication. These platforms, YouTube, social media, that's a form of communication, man. All of this stuff. So when I look at salesmen, that's what I think of. How could I look at being a salesperson or salesman in a bad light when it's really communication? It's a subset of communication, a branch of communication. I have an extreme respect and admiration for communication, and I know its power, and I've harnessed some of it. It's incredible. You couldn't convince me with the world that being a salesman is bad, but you probably never heard it from this perspective, this higher perspective. You heard one Joe Schmo who didn't know what he was talking about, who was probably terrible at sales, say sales is bad. Everyone's put off by salespeople. No, they're not. People are attracted to me because of my sales skills. how I communicate to people can be and is magnetic and draws them towards me. That's selling. You're always selling, by the way. You've heard this in books for years. It's true. You're always selling. When I ask a stranger a question and I want to talk to them, I'm trying to sell them on giving me some of their time to speak with me. I mean, we could break it down like that all day, that the sales is involved at every level of every moment of existence. So again, why are we making this thing bad? And do you still believe that it's bad? If after these 20 minutes that we're going to be here today, you still think it's bad, man, you got some work to do, especially if you're in this field. You will never succeed at that level. So run these things through your mind and begin to reprogram your mind and change your mind with the subject. Because first and foremost, before you apply any outward technique or really get into it, this baseline foundation of absolute belief and certainty and understanding of this subject, of this title and what it entails, its power, its responsibilities, its potential, that has to be fully understood. Once it is, you move forward with the absolute 100% potential to take it to that level. Otherwise, it would be like starting a race and you're tying your feet together and you have to sprint. I don't care how good you are at hopping, you're never going to beat a sprinter. This is how most people are operating in the world today. They're self-sabotaging with their own internal processes. But we have to change it and we have the power to. Okay. So revisit this subject, right? For yourself. Yeah, you can use this podcast as a reference, but do your own internal process as well and rid yourself of all the BS, the false misconceptions, the misinformation, the falsehoods about what sales is and this and that from Joe Schmo who has no fucking credibility, who told you that. Sales is beautiful. Wear this title proudly, but take it serious, because with great power comes great responsibility. Take it serious. Work on your craft, study, get better, sharpen the sword. That way, when you go out there, you're even more effective and you can impact more people positively and in a good way. Because that's what I do, regardless of what you think about me. Overall, my impact is very powerful, very profound, very positive, very enlightening, very advancing, very progressing, right? All these adjectives and words that move people forward and powerful verbs and everything else. That's what we're talking about here. That's what I do. And how? Through communication. I built all these channels through my improvement and understanding and mastery of communication. You can do the same, but are we seeing it with the same set of eyes? If you were able to see communication and sales through my set of eyes, you would immediately level up tenfold. That I can guarantee. Okay. So that's it for this one, guys. Appreciate the support. Join teambc.com if you're in real estate and you're interested in learning more about my team or joining. If you would like to get access to my coaching, Modern Success, briancasella.com, or check the links in my Instagram bio as well as my Facebook. Anything else you need, you can contact me. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting the podcast over the years. I love you guys. All right. Peace.